And on top of that, we donate 1% of our revenue to programs. Education for All in Morocco is a favorite of mine that allows girls to continue their education beyond the third grade. We've given a lot of earthquake relief after that terrible earthquake last year, building temporary shelter. But so yes, so to make it this commitment, it's been hard because 1% of revenue when you're not making any profit, it's meaningful. I went many years without paying myself a dime.
I feel like I see both sides. I see it's much easier than ever. Like the speed to market is faster than ever. Like what might have taken 4 years could take 2 years, 1 year. There's a lot of tools at our fingertips that make things easier, faster to sell, to market, to create product. But from your perspective, yes, like there is also a lot more noise. It's more crowded. And so it's, that's so much of why I'm always like honing in on like positioning and differentiating factors and how important it is to get clear on that, because otherwise, how will you differentiate?
Yeah.
But to your point, I think that, what's great about the way your trajectory went is that you've retained 100% of the business. So, while other people have brought in partners and that diluted their ownership in the brand, you've retained 100%, ownership of your business. So that's a huge plus.
Well, it's nice to be able to, call the shots and not have to answer, just be your own boss.
Absolutely. So, with the, you touched on ethics and ethical sourcing, and that was actually really at the forefront of Kahina and how you built the brand. It wasn't like a little like, oh, let's make sure we add this charity, or let's make sure we make it ethical, or we use marketing language to make it ethical. You truly took the extra steps to, to make Kahina be rooted in ethical sourcing. So what were, you mentioned like some of the biggest challenges is finding this ethical sourcing, making sure it, it's clean and, safe. How did you kind of overcome some of these challenges? And was there a very unexpected challenge that you had to overcome in order to do ethical sourcing profitably too?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I was really just so moved, as I was traveling through Morocco, I was so moved by the Berber women who were doing this work. And I was very careful not to say, I discovered this ingredient, not to be like appropriating any culture. And to me, it was really, really important that they are always at the heart of our brand, and that they are paid a fair wage for their work, that we honor them through our story as the artisans behind this brand, and also that we contribute back to their community. So finding one challenge was just finding the group of women who would be able to, sophisticated enough to be able to understand that we wanted to help them as a community, not just, pay them individually, but also, can you create a program so that this can help beyond you as individually, but as for your whole community. So, when I went in, it was like, okay, well, what can we do? Can we build a school? Kind of like the most obvious thing. Can we build a school in your village? Can we, what can we do? And it would, instead of me saying, imposing my ideas on them, because I had no idea, listen to them and what are your thoughts? And can you organize around how we can create programs that would contribute to the community as a whole? And not all of them were able to really get their head around that. They didn't understand. They didn't understand the concept. These women are mostly illiterate. They're very poor. This is the first time they've ever been able to make any money for themselves, and for them to think beyond that, their own needs, which are great, to be
Hmm.
they're very, very poor. They live, in a very, without electricity in many cases, without running water. So their needs are great, but how can we organize to help you as a community to implement these programs? So that was a big obstacle, is just finding a group of women who could organize like that. And so
Mm.
these women had an association, and they got themselves certified fair trade.
Wow.
So, and just to be able
Huh.
to, export, do the papers required to export DHL, it
Unbelievable.
was really challenging. So those things were like finding the right group of women who could understand, and that we could enact programs. Um,
Wow.
so that was a really big challenge in the ethical sourcing, and just
Huh.
finding the right women, and who also understood quality, understood what I needed in terms of quality, on time
Yeah.
shipments, like just the logistical stuff too. So,
Huh.
yeah, of course, there's extra cost to all of that.
Absolutely.
It's certified fair trade. You pay extra for that. There's extra,
Hmm.
embedded in that is money that's allocated to the programs. And on top of that, so embedded in the cost of the oil that I pay is money that goes to the programs, into the community. And on top of that, we donate 1% of our revenue to programs. Education for All in Morocco is a favorite of mine that
Mm.
allows girls to continue their education beyond the third grade.
Okay.
We've given a lot of earthquake relief after that terrible earthquake last year, building
Huh.
temporary shelter. But so yes, so to make it this commitment, it's been hard, because 1% of revenue, when you're not making any profit, it's
Mm.
meaningful. I went many years without paying myself a dime,
Wow.
most of the time. Most years
Huh.
I did not pay myself anything.
Mm.
um, so it's not something that you have to really feel that commitment, but I felt that it
Mm.
was really important to the brand. um,
Yeah.
and that it would also help build trust in consumers. And I think that that's true. I think ethical brands are now seeing more traction than ever. People care about this.